The medieval age, often called the Middle Ages, can be associated with a prevailing patriarchal mindset. During this time, women faced numerous challenges and were subject to various forms of punishment for transgressions deemed unacceptable by society. The medieval ages was a time which consisted of some of the most dangerous punishments for women. What do you think are some of the reasons why women were punished? What do you think is the worst kind of punishment a woman could suffer by law? The medieval times can be categorized as one of the most difficult times to be a woman. Your innocence wasn't important, but people's perception was. It was a time when a mere accusation was enough to get you killed and punished. Today, we will explore some of the most dangerous punishments inflicted on women during the medieval age, shedding light on the harsh realities they endured. So beginning with our first one, this might remind you of Game of Thrones. At number 5 is public humiliation. If you remember Cersei Lannister or Lena Headey walking down the streets of King's Landing naked, with her hair cut short and a septa screaming shame behind her ears, you already know what public humiliation is. As you can see, this was a common form of punishment that medieval society, especially its men, thoroughly enjoyed. This horrifying punishment involved subjecting women to degrading acts in public spaces to shame and deter others from similar behaviors. Women accused of adultery or prostitution, for instance, were often paraded through the streets while being jeered at, pelted with rotten food, or even physically assaulted. Such punishments aimed to disgrace women and reinforce societal norms publicly. So, to maintain society, the people in power thought that it was a smart idea to parade the transgressors around naked and have the townfolk throwing food or stones at them. It seemed as if they just wanted to punish women, display their power, and instill fear in the minds of women. While women were punished for such crimes, their male counterparts seemingly escaped such punishment scot-free. Only the women were held accountable for such actions, while these actions were only made possible by the participation of men. A true era of sexism and patriarchy, the medieval ages tortured its women for any reason that was found to be valid. But if you thought this was bad, it gets worse. The subsequent punishment involved inducing blood. At number 4 are flogging and whipping. Whips were standard devices of torture used to inflict punishments on the citizens of the medieval era, especially women. Flogging and whipping were brutal forms of punishment commonly employed during the medieval age. Women found guilty of crimes, such as theft or witchcraft, were often subjected to severe lashings. As you can see, whips, birch rods, or other torture devices inflicted excruciating pain upon the victims, leaving lasting scars as a reminder of their transgressions. The severity of the punishment often depended on the offense's nature and the authorities' discretion. Women were not seen as equal to men, but beings meant to be controlled or tamed, as if they were a different species from men. Men only saw reasons to punish women and inflict their sadistic desires in the name of punishment. Sadly, that was how society was during the medieval ages, where the thought of equality didn't even occur in the minds of women. They were subjugated, controlled, and forced to submission by the strength of their male counterparts who had the right to inflict horrifying pain on them. Life as a woman in the medieval ages must have been a period of fear and control. A woman's life was everyone else's but her own. But if you thought this one was bad, the next one will be more horrifying for you to process. At number 3 is burning at the stake. Now this was an era filled with violence as a norm, and women were subjected to it the most. In some ways, the medieval era is one of the scariest eras of human history. One of the most horrific punishments for women during the medieval age was death by burning at the stake. And why would a woman be burned at the stake? Because she was a witch. Perhaps the people in power knew that if power Wawa handed to women, they would all not be able to continue their way of life, and witches were feared and frowned upon. Their power, obtained by worshipping Satan and blood sacrifices, they were not meant to be alive. But these witches weren't even entirely proven to be witches. Mere accusations were enough to burn a woman at the pyre. Accusations of witchcraft and heresy were particularly prevalent, and women suspected of these crimes often faced this gruesome fate. As you can see, women were bound to the stake and surrounded by kindling. They were set on fire publicly, leading to a slow and agonizing death. This belief in witchcraft, fueled by superstition and religious fervor, led to countless innocent women being unjustly accused and sentenced to this horrific fate. And till today, there is no justice for the women who died who weren't even witches. Burning to death seems like a torturous way to die, especially if you died an innocent woman bearing the brunt of false accusations. Burning a woman to stake seems like a horrible way of dying in flames and pain. 2. Dunking or trial by water. In the past, to determine the guilt or innocence of women, they were dunked in water. Dunking, also known as trial by water, was used to determine the guilt or innocence of women accused of witchcraft. As you can see here, the accused woman was tied to a chair or a pole and immersed in water, often a river or pond. If the woman sank and drowned, she was considered innocent, but if she floated, it was seen as a sign of guilt, and further punishment would await her. This was practiced especially for accusations of witchcraft, which again seems like another arbitrary practice to kill women in order to instill fear in the womenfolk of the town. So if the woman died, she was innocent, but if not, then she was guilty? Does this not seem like a practice solely to torture women for some sick, sadistic pleasure instead of a search for justice and truth? This cruel and unjust practice disregarded the laws of physics and anatomy, leading to the tragic loss of countless innocent lives. It is mind-boggling to look at the punishments of the past and trying to make sense of the kind of punishments they inflicted without sense or knowledge. There is no rhyme or reason for the trajectory of their punishments. It seems that no matter what the crime is, a woman is to be blamed and punished for it. Being the physically weaker gender, it seems as if the men took advantage of this fact. If these weren't horrifying enough for you, then you will definitely find this one horrifying. At number 1 is the Iron Maiden. Now, the Iron Maiden was a macabre torture device used during the medieval age. Although primarily associated with the Inquisition and used for both genders, it was also employed against women. Prepare yourselves for this, because it truly is one of the most horrifying torture devices used against humans, men and women alike. Shaped like a human figure, if you look here, you can see that this device had spikes on the inside that impaled the victim when they were enclosed within it. This instrument was designed to cause intense pain and suffering, often resulting in death. So if a human was enclosed in this torture device, it would take them hours to die. The spikes would impale someone enclosed within it, causing the victim to bleed out while struggling to breathe in a closed space. It was an intelligent way of torturing and killing women slowly, struggling even in their last moments. All these devices and torture methods in existence serve as a chilling reminder of the inhumanity women faced during this period. The punishments inflicted on women during the medieval age were undeniably harsh, often reflecting the deep-rooted misogyny and patriarchal norms that existed in those times. While a lot of us may say that feminism isn't needed or the past was much better for women than it is today, here's proof that it wasn't. Women lead silent lives of misery, living in fear and submission. Any woman, regardless of her status, could be accused of a crime and would have to suffer through such harsh punishments in the name of justice. The number of women who have died despite being innocent isn't even known, but there is no way to even hold the perpetrators accountable. All we can do is take this as a lesson to understand that the harsh conditions women had to come from so that we could thrive today. We should be glad that we have moved on from such harsh times and are living in one of the most comfortable eras of modern history. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. For more interesting content, hit the bell icon to know we arrive with our next video.